Hello everyone. Clive Staples Lewis was one of the intellectual giants of the 20th century and arguably one of the most influential writers of his day. He was a fellow and tutor in English literature at Oxford University until 1954. Join us to explore the beautiful quotes of Clive Staples Lewis. It will help you overcome obstacles in life. Let's get it on. Friendship is born at the moment when one man says to another what? You too. I thought that no one but myself. You can never get a cup of tea large enough or a book long enough to suit me. Someday you will be old enough to start reading fairy tales again. I believe in Christianity as I believe that the sun has risen not only because I see it, but because by it I see everything else. A children's story that can only be enjoyed by children is not a good children's story in the slightest. If we find ourselves with a desire that nothing in this world can satisfy, the most probable explanation is that we were made for another world. The Christian does not think God will love us because we are good, but that God will make us good because He loves us. Friendship is unnecessary, like philosophy, like art. It has no survival value, rather it is one of those things which give value to survival. Eating and reading are two pleasures that combine admirably. I can't imagine a man really enjoying a book and reading it only once. No book is really worth reading at the age of 10, which is not equally and often far more worth reading at the age of 50 and beyond. To be a Christian means to forgive the inexcusable, because God has forgiven the inexcusable in you. We are not necessarily doubting that God will do the best for us, we are wondering how painful the best will turn out to be. There are far, far better things ahead than any we leave behind. A man can no more diminish God's glory by refusing to worship Him than a lunatic can put out the sun by scribbling the word darkness on the walls of his cell. Love is not affectionate feeling, but a steady wish for the loved person's ultimate good as far as it can be obtained. Crying is all right in its way while it lasts, but you have to stop sooner or later, and then you still have to decide what to do. Pain insists upon being attended to. God whispers to us in our pleasures, speaks in our consciences, but shouts in our pains. It is His megaphone to rouse a deaf world. I have learned now that while those who speak about one's miseries usually hurt, those who keep silence hurt more. Atheism turns out to be too simple. If the whole universe has no meaning, we should never have found out that it has no meaning. God can't give us peace and happiness apart from Himself, because there is no such thing. It is a good rule after reading a new book, never to allow yourself another new one till you have read an old one in between. I'm on Aslan's side, even if there isn't any Aslan to lead it. I'm going to live as like a Narnian as I can, even if there isn't any Narnia. No one ever told me that grief felt so like fear. You can make anything by writing. He died not for men, but for each man. If each man had been the only man made, he would have done no less. The homemaker has the ultimate career. All other careers exist for one purpose only, and that is to support the ultimate career. What draws people to be friends is that they see the same truth. They share it. I didn't go to religion to make me happy. I always knew a bottle of port would do that. If you want a religion to make you feel really comfortable, I certainly don't recommend Christianity. The task of the modern educator is not to cut down jungles, but to irrigate deserts. What you see and what you hear depends a great deal on where you are standing. It also depends on what sort of person you are. Education without values, as useful as it is, seems rather to make man a more clever devil. Love is something more stern and splendid than mere kindness. God allows us to experience the low points of life in order to teach us lessons that we could learn in no other way. I know now, Lord, why you utter no answer. You are yourself the answer. Before your face questions die away, what other answer would suffice? A proud man is always looking down on things and people, and of course, as long as you are looking down, you cannot see something that is above you. If you look for truth, you may find comfort in the end. If you look for comfort, you will not get either comfort or truth, only soft soap and wishful thinking to begin, and in the end, despair. Now, the trouble about trying to make yourself stupider than you really are is that you very often succeed. We meet no ordinary people in our lives. There was a boy called Eustace Clarence Scrubb, and he almost deserved it. Things never happen the same way twice. She's the sort of woman who lives for others. You can tell the others by their hunted expression. The great thing to remember is that though our feelings come and go, God's love for us does not. I think that if God forgives us, we must forgive ourselves. Otherwise, it is almost like setting up ourselves as a higher tribunal than Him. Miracles are a retelling in small letters of the very same story, which is written across the whole world in letters too large for some of us to see. You never know how much you really believe anything until its truth or falsehood becomes a matter of life and death to you. If I find in myself desires which nothing in this world can satisfy, the only logical explanation is that I was made for another world. I have come home at last. This is my real country. I belong here. This is the land I have been looking for all my life, though I never knew it till now. Further up, come further in. You would not have called to me unless I had been calling to you, said the lion. It is when we notice the dirt that God is most present in us. It is the very sign of His presence. The future is something which everyone reaches at the rate of 60 minutes an hour, whatever he does, whoever he is. The pain I feel now is the happiness I had before. That's the deal. Indeed, the safest road to hell is the gradual one, the gentle slope, soft underfoot, without sudden turnings, without milestones, without signposts, ... Your affectionate uncle, Screwtape. As long as you are proud, you cannot know God. A proud man is always looking down on things and people, and of course, as long as you are looking down, you cannot see something that is above you. Nothing you have not given away will ever really be yours. If you love deeply, you're going to get hurt badly, but it's still worth it. When we lose one blessing, another is often most unexpectedly given in its place. Christianity, if false, is of no importance, and if true, of infinite importance. The only thing it cannot be is moderately important. It is funny how mortals always picture us as putting things into their minds. In reality, our best work is done by keeping things out. Write about what really interests you, whether it is real things or imaginary things, and nothing else. We live, in fact, in a world starved for solitude, silence, and private, and therefore starved for meditation and true friendship. Courage is not simply one of the virtues, but the form of every virtue at the testing point, which means at the point of highest reality. We may ignore, but we can nowhere evade the presence of God. The world is crowded with Him. He walks everywhere incognito. Relying on God has to begin all over again every day, as if nothing had yet been done. It is a very funny thing that the sleepier you are, the longer you take about getting to bed. There is but one good, that is God. Everything else is good when it looks to Him and bad when it turns from Him. But no one except Lucy knew that as it circled the mast, it had whispered to her, "Courage, dear heart," and the voice, she felt sure, was Aslan's, and with the voice a delicious smell breathed in her face. "You come of the Lord Adam and the Lady Eve," said Aslan, "and that is both honor enough to erect the head of the poorest beggar, and shame enough to bow the shoulders of the greatest emperor on earth. Be content. But courage, child, we are all between the paws of the true Aslan. For you will certainly carry out God's purpose however you act, but it makes a difference to you whether you serve like Judas or like John. If we let ourselves, we shall always be waiting for some distraction or other to end before we can really get down to our work. The only people who achieve much are those who want knowledge so badly that they seek it while the conditions are still unfavorable. Favorable conditions never come. Don't say it was delightful, make us say delightful when we've read the description. You see, all those words horrifying, wonderful, hideous, exquisite are only like saying to your readers, please will you do the job for me? We can ignore even pleasure, but pain insists upon being attended to. God whispers to us in our pleasures, speaks in our conscience, but shouts in our pains. It is his megaphone to rouse a deaf world. One day you will be old enough to start reading fairy tales again. If the whole universe has no meaning, we should never have found out that it has no meaning, just as if there were no light in the universe and therefore no creatures with eyes, we should never know it was dark. Dark would be without meaning. When you argue against him, you are arguing against the very power that makes you able to argue at all. It is like cutting off the branch you are sitting on. Literature adds to reality. It does not simply describe it. It enriches the necessary competencies that daily life requires and provides, and in this respect, it irrigates the deserts that our lives have already become. Everyone thinks forgiveness is a lovely idea until he has something to forgive. The more often he feels without acting, the less he will be able ever to act, and in the long run, the less he will be able to feel. I was with book, as a woman is with child. Spiteful words can hurt your feelings, but silence breaks your heart. Gratitude looks to the past and love to the present. Fear, avarice, lust, and ambition look ahead. Child, said the lion, I am telling you your story, not hers. No one is told any story but their own. Her absence is like the sky, spread over everything. Experience that most brutal of teachers. But you learn, my God, do you learn? Thank you for watching the entire video. Please comment to let us know. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss our latest videos. See you soon.